Patrick Geiger. You've heard about Patrick in the introduction. Patrick is a former Marine captain, he's a full-time student at USD, and he's a vegan. He told me a little bit about the theme of the day. Dumb questions, he tells me, absolutely exist, and they should be pointed out whenever possible. And he offers up this example. When I yawn, and someone asks me if I'm tired. Patrick is speaking from the Conflict Communication Manual, Project 2. I read those objectives for speech 1, so I'll skip that in the interest of time. The title of his speech, Tyranny of the Majority. He's asked for 6 minutes. Please welcome Patrick Geiger.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Question: why was the word republic used in the Pledge of Allegiance? Not a vapid question. Why that word? Ask any person on the street, or even a friend, what form of government we have in the United States. They probably don't know. But you might come across the answer, a republic. Excuse me, a democracy, right? Democracy. We hear the word democracy all the time. This is democracy. We must act democratically. We're spreading democracy. Read the history on the pledge one day. The pledge was written by Francis Bellamy in the 1890s. He was a minister and an author. He was 6 years old at the beginning of the Civil War and a young man at the time of Reconstruction. And he couldn't help but to notice how divided the country was at that time. So he sought to unite the nation through a formalized pledge. Heavy task. When he was writing that pledge, he considered using other words besides republic: country, government, nation. But he chose republic. Why? Because that, he says, was the government given to us by our founding fathers and established by the Revolution. Democracy, republic. What's the difference? Democracy is a formulation of 2 Greek words. Demos, meaning people, kraton, meaning majority. We put it together and translate it, ruled by majority. However, republic is a formulation of 2 Latin words. Res meaning thing, public meaning public. And once you translate it, it becomes the law. Now we get inundated with statistics, public polls all the time. Newspaper, online, 65% of Americans are looking for higher minimum wage. Okay, 75% of Americans want a nationalized healthcare system. These polls are very persuasive, and they're used to motivate public opinion. Because in a democracy, majority matters. In a democracy, 51% of Americans can control and dictate 49%. But in a republic, 99% of the population can never vote away the rights of even 1%, because we're intended to be a nation of laws. I'm talking about the tyranny of the majority. Now I will concede that it is quite possible that those figures represent an accurate depiction of how Americans feel today. If they understand that this is a democracy, then they know the minority will always lose. The minority will be demonized, ostracized. This is how slavery was justified during the Continental Congress. A majority of Americans wanted it. Therefore, we got it. If they would have been acting within a republic manner, slavery would have been abolished from the beginning. So it follows. Slavery was the compromise between slaveholding states and non-slaveholding states. And look at all the problems we've had on that issue. Tyranny of the majority. Alexis de Tocqueville visited our country, and he noticed that democracy is the opposite of freedom. He warns us about the dangers of democracy and its tendency to lead towards mob rule. John Stuart Mill, he says that democracy destroys freedom. Saddam Hussein and the Kurds. Adolf Hitler. Hitler was elected democratically. Everything he did was legal. The majority of the Germans wanted it. Benjamin Franklin said once, democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. He later added, but in a republic, the sheep would have a gun. So, 65% of Americans want higher taxes for the richest 1%. So what? 75% of Americans want a national health care system. It doesn't matter. 85% of Americans want higher minimum wage. It does not matter. I'm talking about the tyranny of the majority. Some in this room may be surprised to learn that the word democracy does not appear in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, or any of the 50 constitutions in any of the 50 states, not once, because we were intended to be a nation of laws. Our founding fathers tried everything they could to keep us from having a democracy. We live in a republic founded with some democratic principles, some. We do not have a democratic society, nor was it intended to be. Beware of public opinion. Beware of public opinion. Because what if they're wrong? Mr. Toastmaster.